Oh my gosh, nothing worse than a hot drink on a warm day, but I've got just the idea of how we can fix that. So the first move today is I'm gonna grab our 2x4 and head over to the chop saw. I'm gonna cut this down to the rough dimensions of our legs and our arms. I'm gonna be making 2 cuts at 25 inches long for the legs, 1 cut at 20 inches for the arms, and then 2 additional 6-inch long cuts. Now that we've got all of our lumber cut down to its rough dimensions, we're gonna head over to the table saw and rip it all in half. Now that we've ripped everything in half, I'm gonna actually set the table saw up one more time to take off this stock edge, give it a really clean look, and make everything a uniform size. The next step is to head over to the table and use our sander and really clean it up and make it look really nice. Now that we have all of our material cut down to its rough size and sanded, the next step is to lay out the arms. The way we're going to join these together is with a bridle joint, and I'll show you how to do that in just a bit. But the first step is to just pick an angle. Now I've got 12-degree cuts on both ends of the base of my arm, and then I also have 12-degree cuts parallel on this little arm supports. So it's gonna go like that. The next step is to start cutting the tenon that will join these two together. So we'll start with the tenons. I think it's the easier one to do. We divide the width of our stock by 3. So it gives us 3 equal portions. 1, 2, 3 equal parts. On the tenon, we're gonna cut the outside pieces away. You know, we can use those same measurements here for the mortise, except in this case, we'll take away the centerpiece. The next step is to set the saw blade height. So we lay this piece in place, make a mark, and then that is effectively going to be the depth of our mortise and our tenon. And I'll bring the saw depth up right to my line. After I've made those first 2 cuts on all this mortise, I'm going to adjust my fence to give me a little room, and I'm gonna keep sending passes through and let the saw blade eat away at all this material. That didn't take very long. We've got all 4 of our arm supports and the mortise joints cut in each of them. So now it's time to cut the corresponding tenons and all of the arm bases. Lay these up here in place, make a little mark, make sure that it matches the mark that we made earlier, and then we'll set this up exactly the same way we set it up for the mortise. The saw blade depth is already set, so this time it cuts to the outside of our mark. So now that we've got our first 2 cuts made outlining our tenon, I think a cleaner, better, more efficient way to do it is to actually now turn it on its side. We'll reset the depth of the saw. So the next step is going to be to measure and mark our notches. We're going to have corresponding notches in each of the bases so that they can overlap and fit together like this. 3/4. Okay. And then what we need to do is we need to set our saw blade depth to the depth that we're going to cut here. All right. There we go. Does it work? Does it work? Does it work? I don't know. Oh my gosh, now I can't get it undone. So at this point, we've got our arms constructed and notched, and they're ready to go. The next step is to get the legs built. On my legs, I just kept with that 12-degree angle. I think it just all matches to have everything 12. So 12-degree angle at the top, 12-degree angle at the bottom. And then all that's left is to create the tenon on the leg and the mortise on the arm, and then they will just simply join together like this. So let's get started. The last step is to cut the mortise joint in the base of the arms. So let's get rolling. I picked a location that I wanted the legs to mount. I just picked in the middle of this space, this way, the middle. So I marked the middle, and then I measured for my tenon, and then just marked out exactly what I want to cut out. So I'm going to cut on that line and get rid of all this material. Now that we've given it plenty of time to set up in the clamps, I've gone ahead and removed it, and it's time to do our final sanding. So I've just finished the final sanding, and the next step is we're gonna glue and clamp our final two pieces together. So we've given this plenty of time to dry. Now it's time to unclamp it, and the last step is to go out and put some stain on it. So for this project, I've chosen YellaWood's Protector semi-transparent stain and sealers, and I've done that because I know this stuff is tough enough to help our project stand the test of time. So much better. I really hope you enjoyed this build. If you did, like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.